Hello, I'm going to talk about the Cancer zodiac sign right now, and the planet that we're going to start talking about. When we talk about the Cancer zodiac, we're going to talk about the moon, because Cancer is ruled by the moon. So the Cancer symbol, also known as the crab, that is the mythical creature associated with the Cancer zodiac. Crabs exist in the real world, so not exactly mythical, but the crab represents what Cancer does, what is their modality, how do they move about this planet. So it has everything to do with the ocean, the seas, biggest crest of the wave, the biggest part of the wave, all having to do with the realm of the moon. The moon rules the sea, the tides are controlled by the phases of the moon. All of this is interplaying, all of this has everything to do with the density of the water at the time, of being by the ocean, having to do with the physics of the water. That's why we come up with these words like tides, and we talk about the ocean having tides just as the moon has phases. The moon's gravity is known to be presiding over how high the tide is during the time of day or night. So all of this has to do, the moon is long correlated with the ocean, with water, with female aspecting, and everything to do with being within a home, being sheltered. A crab walks around with his home, not like a snail, since a snail, while loving the water, ponds, the rain, a snail has a shell on his back but does not live by the ocean. A snail prefers foresty environment. They have a wet, loving kind of body. They love the damp earth, but a crab needs sand and ocean. So sand, if you think about where is sand proliferating, sand is in dry regions and it's in the ocean. So sands, you think of the desert, and then you think of where the desert meets the great body of water, the great body of salt water, which is the ocean. So crabs carry their shell on their back, but they're limited to being in water, salt water areas that are very large, and they're known to be found in caves. Maybe you've been to the beach and you've dug in the sand a little, probably nearer to the water's edge, nearer to the shoreline, and you might notice tiny hermit crabs popping up out of the sand. You might see weird areas where it's bubbling up. You see little bubbles coming up out of the wetter areas of the sand, and you might pull out a little crab or a few crabs. There's a few little crabs crawling around, so that's something to explore. Getting in touch with the Cancer in your energy, in your zodiac sign. One second, take a sip of water. So Cancer, ruled by the moon, the ocean, the tides, and I'm emphasizing the tides. I want to talk about cardinal sign water energy. That is the matrices in which the Cancer zodiac presides. Cancer in the zodiac is the cardinal water sign. So there's only one cardinal water sign. There's only one meaning of each multiplicity aspect with the element. So Cancer is cardinal water. So the reason I'm talking about tides then has everything to do with the cardinality of this zodiac sign. Cardinality. That means you go first. That's the biggest front push. That's the first push out. Okay, so cardinal, if this was a wave we were talking about for the multiplicities, cardinal would be like the first big swoop of the wave. That would be cardinality. So how does that show when it comes to the zodiac sign Cancer? That talks all about the tide of the wave, and not so much, where the wave starts breaking down and turning into rivulets that move over the land and become streams, or even rainfall. These are all different forms of how the ocean becomes one with the land, how the ocean moves over the whole of the planet Earth. So that's a good way to think about Cancer sign, being the crest of the wave, being the great first initial swoop of the wave. That's cardinality, and that's water. And that's what Cancer is very involved with. So Cancer is known to be a great agent of summoning when you wish to focus on your home life and creating a beautiful home. So Cancer is very involved with beautification of the home, making it suited to you so that it's comfortable. Comfort is a really big word for the Cancer sign. It's a sign. It's very involved with the creation of a proper setting that you would care to habitate in, a setting in which you would enjoy being careful, full of care and mothering. So Cancer also big on the mothering side. Just as the home is ruled by the mother figure, not necessarily female or an actual mother, it has to do with taking up that role and taking up that role of being a caretaker for what is going to be habitual and what is going to be a place of refuge and a place of sanctity, and for your downtime, for your time away from the busy world. It's going to be the place where you can be more inside your world and just enjoy that. So that's important. I think comfort is a big key word for Cancer zodiac, especially in regards to home dwelling, house dwelling. And its negative sides, say you were to take in more Cancerian energy than you could tolerate at this time. What are the downsides? What could be an issue that you might face being in your Cancerian zodiac? So you might end up being a little bit reclusive, maybe a little bit stubborn and moody. So moody, that's pretty big. You can see it right in the moon being what the planet or planetary entity that we can see changing the most. With our own eyes, no tools needed. We see the moon change the most. We see the ocean rise in tide and get lower in tide. We see all the rainfall, change. We see the levels of rainfall change. All of these are very good indicators as to why, Cancerian energy got its name, which I mean, in this case, I mean its connection to such a planetary entity and other entities of our human dimension, our earthly dimension, which is the ocean and moon. So some ice in my water. So what else were we going to say there about the moon? What were we going to say? So the crab being some creature, crustacean that can move on both land and water areas. The crab being capable of moving around very freely on a wet earth surface and also a sand surface, having these sharp claw-like aspects. And I was going to say something here. So that's the area that the Cancer sign is traversing, this oceanic and also grounded by the sand layers, and that's the areas in which they feel comfortable. It's all about comfort and motion, in accordance to your levels of comfort. So we were talking about moodiness. The moodiness is a factor, as something to be known about before going any further into the Cancerian zodiac energy and working with that. That is something. Moodiness, reclusivity, maybe being a tad manipulative of your friends and loved ones, maybe when you want something but can't quite ask for help or aren't asking for help when you could be. So there's that. It makes sense considering, we see the moon change so much. We see the ocean be very powerful, ferocious, or very still. There's a lot of changeability that is great. That is a wide range, and it could be a quick movement, but one that lasts a long amount of time, a sufficient amount of time, that it's not so scattered. I'd say like a Gemini type of changeability. The mood swing would be deeper, and a deeper neurosis, it would be a wider neurosis and not so quick to bounce back into whatever was being previously experienced in terms of mood. So now that we've talked about the crab, the moon, the ocean, the home, the caretaking, there's a lot of nurturing quality to this sign, maximum amount of nurturing for this sign, being the mother, the moon mother. All of these things are qualities to call upon when seeking to get in touch with your Cancer sign side, to strengthen those qualities in your life for whatever reason you may have. You want to appreciate that aspect, that there's an immense nurturing capability for this sign. An immense nurturing capability that is about as wide as the ocean, and as terrific as the ocean, being so changeable but still impressive and not moving around in a way that you can't predict what's going to happen so much. It's more impressive in its moods, and I don't mean better than anything else, I mean impressive. The mood swings would be gigantic. What is more impressive than that night energy, that full moon energy? There's nothing more impressive than that. It's great. It's great in magnitude. So that's something to consider. The home, your nurturing side, making things comfortable and a getaway for yourself in this crazy world. All of these things are really important when getting in touch with your Cancer zodiac.